Hey folks, Horsemanship 101 again. I want to talk about one rein stop, which I actually ended up learning the hard way. I had a horse that was a little barn sour. First one I ever rode. Would ride through the bit, and pulling back on both reins would not stop her or slow her down. And I finally figured it out that, well, the only thing I can do is turn her around. And, even that wasn't entirely successful at first because she could actually run at a full gallop with her head turned sideways. Exceptions to every rule. Just remember that in horsemanship there are no absolutes. There's exceptions to every rule. Now, the one rein stop is something that everybody should know because it can get you out of a lot of trouble. However, if you do it wrong, it can get you into trouble too. It's important to know. It's also important to know how. And I've heard a number of different people say different ways of doing it. And, it's all fine and dandy in theory, but in the real world, things don't always go according to plan, and you don't always have ideal facilities. You aren't always riding in an arena. Sometimes you're on a very narrow trail, or sometimes you're out in the middle of a field. Now, the idea of a one rein stop is that if you can't get the horse to slow down by just pulling back on the reins, you can control it by turning it. Now, it doesn't matter which one you use, but of course it's going to matter depending on where you are, whether you're on a road, a trail, out in a field, and how much room you got on which side. You got to be able to think fast, and the sooner that you can respond to what's happening, the sooner you can get things under control. So I'm just going to do a little demo here. I'm going to reach down. If she's bolting away on me, I'm going to turn her because she's going to respond to a turn. She will turn, and it doesn't take a lot of force to do that, even if she's panicking. And the idea is that you keep turning the horse until it eventually stops. Because they will. If they get tired of going in circles after a while, they'll just stop. Now, of course, some people will say, don't yank on, because that'll just make matters worse, especially if you got a bit that's going to, the horse is already scared if it's bolting, so you don't want to be hurting its mouth. So, but as soon as possible, the speed at which you do it is very important. Doing it quickly is important, but you don't want to do it hard. You don't want to be reefing on it, but you do want to get things happening as quick as possible, so you bring the horse back to thinking instead of just reacting. So the sooner you do it, the better off you are. Now, this is also where the flexing comes in, because it teaches the horse to respond to the reins, so that you can do this, because that way when it feels something pulling one side or the other, it'll actually respond to it. Now, if you got a big open field, like if you're out in the middle of that field out there, and you got lots of room, you can do what a lot of people suggest is don't do it harsh or quick. Just gradually make the horse turn smaller and smaller circles. However, if you're in a really narrow area, if you're going down a road or you're on a narrow trail, you don't always have a lot of choice in the matter. You can't make big circles and gradually make them smaller. So that's when you're going to have to turn that head around real sharp like that, so the horse is basically turning on its own length like she's doing right now, and eventually she will come to a stop. And that is the one rein stop. Doesn't matter whether you do it with the left or right. Doing it as quick as possible and getting the situation under control is important. Like I said, some people say do a quick turn. Some people say that's bad because the horse can fall over or whatever, lose footing when it makes a sharp turn. Sometimes you don't have a choice in the matter, but that's where you got to be able to think fast on the back of a horse and decide what's going to work right for that situation that you're in, because there are no absolutes. There is no one right way of doing things, but the one rein stop, incredibly important. Another reason for it is if for some reason one rein, you lose one, it breaks, disconnects, whatever, and you only got one, well, you can still stop your horse. So there you go. One rein stops. It's important. It's vital. One of those things that you should absolutely always know before you even get on a horse. Have a good day, folks.